All right, guys. How's everyone doing?
Awesome.
Okay, we have a lot to do today. I was a little bit late because of the traffic, but let us begin. We live in two worlds, time and space. Okay? That is where we find ourselves. Time and space. Give me the most holy space in the entire world.
Holy of holies.
The holy of holy here, guys.
This the sun.
Yes.
Where if you want?
Mount Moriah, which had on it eventually the temple in Jerusalem. So Jerusalem, right? The Harabayit actually, right? We maybe we have to go up there, but the closer we get to is the Kotel. The Jerusalem, however, is the center of the universe. We're going to have a whole talk just on that eventually. That's not the discussion today. What I want to talk about today is the holiest time. And the holiest time is?
Right now.
Right now, it's a good answer. That's the most special time. But the holiest time, however, is Shabbat, the Sabbath. And why do I say Shabbat? I could say Yom Kippur. Would you say Yom Kippur is bigger than Shabbat? When are your temples and synagogues mostly full? Yom Kippur, everyone comes in, they're paying $100 for their tickets, they're putting on their special suits, their fancy clothing, right? Pocketbooks come out, and Mrs. Cohen spends $500 on her ticket. If I had my way, I'd ban Yom Kippur.
My birthday.
That's a good birthday to have. But I would ban it, not your birthday. I'd ban the day itself. Do you know why? Because unfortunately, it's begun to represent who we are as a people. And everyone thinks being Jewish is all about fasting. And you know, we have 6 fast days in the Jewish year, but we have 80 feasting days. 6 fast, 8. We're not eating, right? Every Jew, right? We're going to talk about this topic. We're going to go very deep into it. I'm going to reveal things to you that you've never even heard of, understood before. But I'm going to prove to you that Shabbat is more important than any other holiday, more important than Kippur, more important than Passover. Actually, the fact you only have 1 Yom Kippur a year, 1 Purim a year, 1 Passover a year, 1 Sukkot a year, and 52 Shabbats or so a year means that Shabbat is at least 52 times more important. There's something about Shabbat that is going to exceed all the other days. In order to understand why Shabbat is so important, we have to go right back to the beginning of creation. When we get back there, we're going to see that the Jewish people are here today for one reason, and one reason only, and that is because of the very holy Sabbath. You had a question a couple of moments ago?
I did.
I don't know, how'd you have that? Oh, that's a good, right ahead. Lotion up, my dear. Enjoy. Okay, let's go back to creation. How many days of creation are there?
6.
You see, that's what everyone says. They believe there to be 6 days of creation. The truth is, there is more than 6. There is actually 7. 7 days. 7 days.
Allah says that 1 day is equivalent to
That's not for now. That's when it comes to the 6 Aleph in the first verse, which first 6,000 years the Jewish world will exist, which is my third, which I'm working on already, which is all about coming Mashiach, which is related to this. We're going to get there. Each day is equivalent to 1,000 years. That is absolutely true. Hold on 1 second. So what we're going to do is we're going to see that 7 days it takes. What are you talking about? God created the world in 6 days. Didn't He rest on the 7th day?
He was chilling.
No, God is not just chill. You, don't mean chill on a Shabbat. What we're talking about here is God rested. What do you mean God rested? God needs to rest.
He observed His spiritual.
Didn't He say He made that day holy, so did He create something then?
He did create something then. What did He create? Menucha. He created something, menucha. Menucha means rest. Not the rest that all of you have on a Sunday morning where you sleep in and you hang out with friends, go for a bagel, right? Sunday mornings, bagel day. People on the sweatpants on and off they go. That's not what we're talking about. The rest over here is an active rest. It's something not like. Listen very carefully. I said a lot of new ideas for you. We're all going to come together at the end. It's an active rest. Now watch very carefully. I want to talk about the number 6 and then the number 7. 6 is actually not a good number in Judaism. 7 is a good number. 8, we'll see not today, is a more important number. Why? 6 years. That's not for now. Unless you want one.
It was when I was 6 years old. So
I'll give you one. You don't want a 6 years old?
when I came to Israel, they did it too.
At 6 years old? Wow.
I didn't know about this actually. About the cut it.
That's the way, Baruch Hashem. Yeah, that's the way it is. I have friends who came here from the former Soviet Union and from Hungary. They didn't know they had it in their teen, 20s, 30s. Big mitzvah. So that's not for now. Discuss 8 another time. Number 6 is disparate. Right? It's not together. 6 days of the week. They just hang out. They're not related. 7 is the coming together. Let me give you an example. You have 6 sides to a box. And everything in this world has 6 sides. We have up, down, and we have the 4 ways that we face. We have north, east, south, and west. Okay? That's the number 6. What's the 7 then? The 7 is the coming together of those 6 days. 6 are disparate unities, but it only becomes a box, only becomes functional when the 7th pulls it together. So the 7th is, some say, the coming together of the box, or the sides of the box, and some say, no, that's the inside of the box. When all 6 come together, they become 7. Now watch carefully. There are 6 days. What do we call the weekdays in Judaism? They're called Chol. 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 Chet Vav Lamed is Chol. That's what we call the weekdays. That word also means sand. Sand. Why would the word for weekdays, A6, mean sand?
In different contexts, it means the same thing?
In sand, it means like on the beach. Why would the same word for a weekday?
Like time in a sandwich?
Why? Right. Why would the weekdays of the week are called Chol? Yomot HaChol. And sand is also called Chol. Why is that? Why do they both point there? What is sand? It looks like they're all connected. It looks like all part of one. You walk on the sand. Actually, they're very individual, tiny, microscopic grains that have no relationship one to the other, except they're packed on in front of one to the other. Shabbat, however, is the coming together, and that's why Shabbat is the only day of the week that has a name. What do we call the days of the week in Judaism? Sunday is Yom Rishon. Monday is Yom Sheni, the second day. Tuesday is Yom Shlishi, third day. Getting a pattern over here. Wednesday is Yom Revi, the fourth day. We don't even names. It doesn't even qualify to have a name. It's just a number. It's Yom Rishon l'Shabbat. Yom Sheni l'Shabbat. Yom Shishi. Every day of the week is taking you somewhere. So many of us see the end of the week like this, right? We go through the week, we're all working hard, and then we get to the end of the week, and we go up, and it starts here, right? And then it goes down, 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 down. Oh, it's the weekend, Baruch Hashem, here's Shabbat, and we get to rest. That's your mistake. That's not the way it is at all. It starts off down here, that's Yom Rishon, and then it goes up. 2, 3, 4, all the way till it reaches Shabbat.
Wow.
Shabbat is the apex of the week. God created the world for Shabbat. You build up. That's why it has a name, Shabbat. Now, the name itself means rest. We have to understand why this most important day is called rest. Right? Shabbat, to rest. Shevet, to sit down. You're at rest. Why would the most important day of the entire week, the only day that has a name for it, why would that day be called rest? And why do the other days have names? What does a name signify? What does your name signify? The essence of what you are. It's who you are. It's right, exactly. Your Hebrew name even more than any other name you have. Right? Because your name defines you. Which is days of the week have no definition. They don't have any individual reality. Shabbat does. Now watch this very carefully. What's the most important part of creation? Go back to creation. What's the most important part, would you say?
My soul. No.
The 7 days of creation.
Adam.
You would have thought, right? Creation of mankind, creation of heaven and earth. Here's something amazing. It's actually the opposite. The least important thing is created first. The more important thing is created later. That's Persian time right there.
Yeah. So it was like Madonna comes inside with the sunglasses sitting right now.
So we start at the beginning of the week. Dimitri, I'm going to do these guys, Dimitri. Yeah, careful, there's a wire behind you, darling. Careful not to get electrocuted.
Okay.
No, you can sit
Nora,
here.
just
Sit,
go
sit,
around.
you sit next to Dust. Here, right here, Dora, right here. Right, there you go. Oh, friends coming together again. I know you're separate from your girls, I feel terrible.
I'm so upset.
Don't worry, second class
She
will
didn't
put you
say
together
me
again.
stay.
You know, in the religious world, girls sit behind.
Okay, they sit in the front. They sit in the front, be careful. Before I push you behind. First of all, heavens and earth. Heavens and earth comes first. You would have thought that's the most important thing, right? But like, no! It's not the most important thing, because after that comes vegetation. Vegetation is more important than heavens and earth. Why? Because the heavens and earth are needed for the vegetation. After vegetation comes animals, right? We have other things in between, but animals, because the animals need the vegetation, and the vegetation needs the earth. What comes after animals? Getting there in a second. What's after animals? You ask a question about this, or you're about to attack?
I just wanted to comment.
Okay, hold on. So what comes after this? Humans. Right? Humans, Adam and Eve, Adam and Chava come right to the end. Because they need the heavens and earth, they need the waters, and everything else that comes before them. They need the oceans, they need the birds, they need the fish, they need it all. So the more important something is, the later it occurs. Sof ma'aseh, b'machshavat tchila. That's what we say Friday night. What does this word mean? Sof ma'aseh, b'machshavat tchila. The end of all action is the beginning of all thought. Let me translate that in English for you. You begin with the end in mind. Let's say you want to start a business. Okay? Russ, you want to start a business, you want to start, I don't know, selling bananas in Brooklyn. Not enough bananas selling in Brooklyn. What's the first thing you do? You find an area where bananas are lacking, right? Then you go, and then eventually you buy a store. You don't find a store. Get yourself a bunch of employees, buy computers, and okay, what should we sell? That's crazy. That's insane. You start, what's my end goal? To make money. What's lacking? Bananas. Then you work backwards. You begin with the end in mind. Every business works like that. Every marriage is meant to work like that. Every relationship, everything we do, you begin with the end in mind. What did God do? God began, sof ma'aseh b'machshavat tchila. He began with the end in mind. What was the end? The end was the most important thing. The goal of existence. What's at the end? Most important thing. The end was humanity, mankind, right? Adam and Eve came last. No! There was something that came after mankind. And what was that? Shabbat. Shabbat came in the end. You're on fire today. Shabbat came last. Which means that Shabbat, here's the punchline, I'll take the question. Shabbat is more important than anything else that comes before it. Which means Shabbat, based on this logic, which came after mankind, because humans were created after animals, and humans were created right on Erev Shabbat, and Shabbat obviously came a day later. So Shabbat is the most important thing in the world. It's the reason God created the world. Now that we have to understand. Why would God create a day, a world, a universe, humans, fish, everything, for Shabbat? That we're going to get to, yes.
No, that was my question.
Okay, well, we're going to try to figure that out.
Is there proof for that?
Oh, for what?
For that Shabbat is like the reason that the world exists.
100%. Well, this is many proofs. The first one is that it comes right at the end. And the more important something is, the more towards the end it appears. So there's something going on over here that we're not appreciating about this one very particular day.
So then how come we're the only ones who do Shabbat?
Very good.
Wow.
That is because we're going to see Oti Beinu Benechem. It is a direct relationship between God and Jewish people. So much so that if non-Jews want to do other mitzvot, they're entitled to. Let's say a non-Jew says to me, Rabbi, I want to keep kosher. What do you say? No problem. Go right ahead. Rabbi, I want to give charity. Oh, no, it's only for Jews. No, give. And we'll take. Right, whatever you want to do, we Jews are very, very happy to get involved. And yet, we have this very unusual law that none of you had heard of before.
Are they allowed to keep
And
Shabbat?
that is, a non-Jew is not allowed to keep Shabbat on Saturday. Interestingly, and the expression is Akum Shabbat Chayv Mitah. You know, this law actually has halakhic legal ramifications. Let's say a person's converted to Judaism. They can learn laws of Shabbat, and they can start to keep some of Shabbat. They have to break Shabbat to become Jewish.
The non-Jews were created the same day as Jews.
Absolutely. But there's a special relationship that started at Mount Sinai that only Jews were allowed to keep Shabbat. Actually, Shabbat even preceded Mount Sinai.
Not everybody technically has to not obey, but be God observant.
Not at all. Who told you that? We have 630
Something
mitzvot.
like that.
They have 7 mitzvot. Non-Jews have no obligation to keep the
They
Torah.
still have to keep the Ten Commandments.
They do not keep the Ten Commandments. Absolutely not. And actually, Shabbat doesn't appear in the Ten Commandments. They're not. They keep the Sheva Mitzvah, but they not.
So
The
you're
7
saying
laws of
non-Jews-
Moses, of Noah, which we're going to talk about in another class.
Non-Jews have no.
No obligation. They want to drive, they want to eat pig, they want to eat pig while driving, eating a milkshake on Shabbat. Gay gesund.
So they can kill Jews, but not kill.
No, I didn't say they can kill Jews. They have 7 laws they have to keep.
So they
One of them is they're not allowed to kill. One of those is not to keep Shabbat. Yes.
When you're speaking about Shabbat, let's say a person is trying to convert and you invite them to your house for the Kiddush. Are they allowed to?
Yeah, they can be part. They cannot. They have to break Shabbat. I have students of mine going through conversion, and they'll turn on a light to do some active prohibition of Shabbat.
So
They cannot keep all of Shabbat. As you say, even wilder, here's something crazy. Abraham, according to Judaism, was not even Jewish, which means he wasn't allowed to keep Shabbat. Wow. That means he had to break Shabbat. There's a whole discussion among the commentators how Abraham broke Shabbat. So they say, Abraham breaking Shabbat, it can't be. So they say, you know what? As a Jew, he kept it. But as a non-Jew, he didn't. How to do that? They say on Saturday night, he made a fire. Saturday night for a Jew is no longer Shabbat anymore. But for a non-Jew, since their day follows the day, Saturday night is still Saturday, as a non-Jew is breaking Shabbat. So they come up with all these novel explanations. Why do they have to bend over backwards and, as my Rebbe say, scratch the lefty with the right hand? You know that expression, right? Why does it go and all these funkelmunkel? Because it's so important, this concept, it has to be worked out. How can it be that Abraham kept Shabbat when a non-Jew cannot? And why only Jews? If a non-Jew wants to keep any other mitzvah, don't bring one up, it's go right ahead. You don't have to, but do it. I'm not going to say anything. Shabbat, only for Jewish people. It is a unique mitzvah, and we're going to see why. We're going to see why, yes.
I'm sorry that I'm bothering you, but
You're not bothering me.
a Jewish person like me or Israelis in general
Yes.
don't keep Shabbat, right? At all.
I wouldn't say that.
And person that
Actually, I read a Pew report that just came out recently, says that nearly 20% of Israelis keep Shabbat.
yeah, I'm not saying it's good or bad, but if I'm gonna
I'm saying it's bad. I am.
Okay, I agree with you. Let's say
I can't pass judgment, but I am going to, yeah.
Not a problem. So if I will start to keep Shabbat, I'm allowed. But if you want to convert,
Yeah.
you have to keep Shabbat.
Yes.
So it's not hypocritical to me.
Yes? Okay, here we go. Welcome to Judaism. Upside down world. Olam Hapuk. The convert comes in, has to keep Shabbat.
Yes.
The one who's not, doesn't have. Everyone's got to keep Shabbat. Convert and Jew is like. But let's figure out why. Maybe we'll want to do it once we figure out why. Are we following so far? We've done a lot so far, but I have a lot more to tell you. I need the focus over here. So we started by saying that creation was set up in a certain way that Shabbat comes last. The thing that comes last is the most important. We said the days of the week only have numbers. Shabbat is only with a name. It has a character. There's something about Shabbat. There's something inherent in it that makes it so important that without it, you're not even considered observant. How do we define an observant Jew? Do we say that person is a matzah eater? That person is a sukkah dweller? That person is Shabbat Shabbat or Shomer Shabbat? They keep Shabbat. Why? Why do we pick on this one mitzvah out of all 613 and think, that means they're in? That's like the defining trait. We don't say, is that person a charity giver? We say, that's very nice. You want to eat matzah on Pesach, that's good. Right? You want to sit in a sukkah on Sukkot, that's good. You give charity, right? Whatever you want to do. You want to plant a tree in Israel as well. But you keep Shabbat, that's
Even
the
though you're
point.
unemployed and you don't have jobs.
That is the point. I don't care if you're unemployed, if you're rich like Rabbi Yoda Nasi, if you're poor like Hillel, I don't care. Everyone keeps Shabbat. Can we figure out why? It's being difficult today. I don't know what's today. Yes.
Shabbat is such a central idea that everything else is interconnected to it.
Absolutely. Everything else is connected. We have 10 commandments. Which number is Shabbat?
Would be 7?
Number 6.
10?
No, number 2. No, 3.
You've now said every number except the right one. It does say keep Shabbat and 10 commandments. Twice.
3.
4 wins and congratulations. Well done. Yes. Commandment number 4. Could you learn the 10 commandments? You know the Christians out there, all those Russian Christians, they all know their 10 commandments. You know, we're going to do a class. Darcy, write this down. Rabbi Hajj is doing a class of 10 commandments. Okay, that's going to happen. You can't not know the 10 commandments. Shabbat, trust me, because you don't know the 10 commandments, Shabbat happens to be the only one that actually has a ceremony involved in it. Don't kill. You don't do anything. Don't steal. You don't steal, right? Believe in God. You believe in God. Don't worship idols. Shabbat comes along. You have to actually do something in order to observe it. It's quite extraordinary. The only one. They learn out and say that the root of all 613 mitzvot are found in these 10, which means every single mitzvah we have to do something. Eat matzah, sound the shofar, and give chai, whatever it is found in Shabbat. It is the root of all other positive mitzvot. They can all be found within it. It is the shorish. There's something inside that. Now, 2 reasons are given to keep Shabbat. I'm going to have to get these into the questions because I have a lot more to get through. 2 reasons are given for Shabbat in the Torah itself. And those 2 reasons are found in the 2 times that the 10 Commandments are mentioned. Although Shabbat's mentioned many times in the Torah, the 2 times it's mentioned is number 1, in the Torah portion of Yitro, which happens to be my Torah portion of my Bar Mitzvah, and the 10 Commandments are mentioned over there. Then they're repeated again at the end of the Torah, in the Torah portion of Ve'et Hanan. However, something very unusual happens. A different reason is given on the different luchot, on the tablets. A different reason is given on the tablets. One reason we're told to keep Shabbat is because Hashem, God, created the world and rested on the 7th day. The second reason is you were slaves in Egypt and Hashem took you out.
So they were working on Shabbat too?
Stop. 1 second.
Sorry.
1 second. We have 2 reasons in the Torah why I have to keep Shabbat. Reason number 1 is God created the world in 6 days, He rested on the 7th. Reason number 2 is because you were slaves in Egypt, but Hashem took you out and you're no longer slaves. So because of this, I can't work and do work on the 7th day, and we don't even know what work means. What does that even mean, work? We've got to figure that out as well. So the Kuzari, which we mentioned before, says a very interesting answer to this. He says this actually summarizes who we are as a people. Number 1, you were a slave, but you were taken out. What do slaves do? They work and they work and they work and they don't rest and they have no way of taking control of their lives. The master says it, they do it. Work, work, work. Reward, very little. Hashem says, you're no longer a slave. I took you out of Egypt. You're free. You are kings and queens. You are princes and princesses. You hear this? You are a Jewish American princess. And you're a Jewish American prince. But you're the king. However, Hashem's the king. However, there's another side to this, and that is Hashem created the world. Meaning, Hashem says, I am the ultimate creator. See, what would happen if we created 7 days a week? What might you think? I'm the creator. Everything that happens to me is because of me. So one day we stop creating. You're no longer a slave. You're a free person, but you're not Hashem, you're not God. So by stopping all creative work, that's the key word over here. Melechet machshevet, creative work, not physical work. Physical work could be creative, but not necessarily. By stopping creative work, you are actually becoming like God. That is the level you reach once a week. And you're no longer a slave, you're a free person. This dichotomy summarizes and explains who we are as a people. No longer slaves, but not God. I'll tell you something amazing. Isn't it incredible that first of all, I want to mention this. This I missed out. Do you know there's no 7-day cycle astronomically? There's a 1-day cycle, 24-hour day. Everyone agrees to that.
Yeah.
There is a 30 or 31-day cycle, 29 days, 21, which makes a month. There's a 1-year cycle, right? The moon and the sun, the earth runs 365 days or thereabouts. There is no 7-day cycle. Yet everyone keeps it. And there's only one place where we see it mentioned. And that's in the Torah. The entire world, the French and the Russians and everyone else keeps a 7-day week. Okay, maybe there's some tribe in Africa that doesn't. But everyone else does. And the only source for it is the Torah itself. And not only that, they follow the same 7-day cycle that we all keep as well, don't they? They follow 7 days. They don't have a weekend like on Tuesday or Wednesday. They all follow the 7-day cycle. And they all stop at exactly the same day. Is that extraordinary?
Right.
Everyone knows that Saturday is off. If you work on Saturday, it's not a good thing. Yeah? But that's the day that was decided. And yet the entire world keeps it. And yet it's not found anywhere except the Torah. It's almost as though, my friends, that there's a 7-day rhythm in the world. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, back to 1 again. And everyone is part of it. Everyone relates to this 7-day cycle, this rhythm of life. It goes up to 7 and back to 1 again. Just like there are 7 colors of a rainbow. Just like there's 7 notes in a musical scale. You go ba 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 ba. You hit 7, where does it go? 1 octave above, but the same place. Ba 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 ba. There's no 8th. When Mashiach comes, there'll be an 8th, but that's not for now. That's not for now. Olam Hazeh, there's only 7. I'm waiting for something.
I actually bet that.
Okay. So why? Your question a moment ago, you asked me, what's the point of this? What's the reason this day stands out? Why does this represent Judaism? Well, we saw a little bit already, but I want to share something quite mind-blowing with you. And this will take us to the end. And by the way, I teach a 26-part course on this. I've just taken 26 hours and crushed it into 45 minutes. You're welcome. We say something very interesting. We say in the Torah that God blessed the 7th day. And we read in Kiddush and Shabbat, Veivarech Hashem es Yom HaShvi. God blessed the 7th day, right? Beirach. The word Baruch, right? He blessed. What does that mean, he blessed? What does the word Baruch even mean? Blessed are you, God. Well, I've got to bless God. Well, God needs my blessings. What does that mean, blessed? Baruch atah Hashem. What does bless even mean? It does that, but that's not what it means. What does the word Baruch even mean? Can you see another Hebrew word tucked away in there, any of you? What's a berecha?
Baracha?
Yeah.
It's going to be pool, so I don't
What do you say?
Pool.
A pool, that's right. Actually, in biblical Hebrew, berecha is a source of water. A source of water. Why would the word for a blessing be the same as a source of water?
So life, the origin of, not origin of life, but it's necessity.
The source of everything, the necessity comes from, when it says God bless the 7th day, Hashem varech es Yom HaShvi, it means that he put inside it the source of all blessing. What does blessing mean? Whatever it means to you. You want to get married, you want to have parnassah, you want a good income, you want to be healthy, and all the good things that we all want, all the blessing we want in our lives. We want good things for ourselves, our family, our parents, our community. Where does that blessing come from? Shabbat. You know, we Sephardim, those of us who are Sephardi, even Ashkenazim, they all go to the rabbi, to the Chacham for a bracha, they go for a blessing, right? They give all that money. Come to me, I'll take your money, give you a blessing, no problem. Yes, I would take it. Right? Oh, go to Chacham, you get a red piece of string for $45. I'm in the wrong business. Peter string for $45. What was I thinking? Right? Or Kabbalah water, all this kind of stuff.
I heard the red string is actually, it's not that, it's actually taken from...
Darche Emorim, from the Amorites. It's actually in my book, Jugal Question. Yeah, I speak about it. It may not be forbidden to wear, but it doesn't do anything for you. Having said that, I know I've disappointed the Sephardim. They're all disappointed. You're a Sephardi? Sephardim here are disappointed like hell. You got no idea. They are like depressed about this. Let me tell you. Oh, they go to the Chacham for a bracha. They pay dollars. They fly. They travel. You know what Hashem says? You don't need to do that. Shabbat is a sort. You want a bracha? Go to Shabbat. It is the makor habracha. It is the source of all blessing. You want blessing in your life? In financial blessing? I'm talking real money. I mean cash in your pocket. Hello? Russian Jews, are you there? Right? We all want money. We all want to be successful. Where do you go? Shabbat is the source. It was put inside that day. The rabbi says that I have a garden, a beautiful garden. And the garden's got beautiful trees and there's vegetables and everything. You look around like, wow, where does it all come from? And you see in the middle a pool of water. And you see that there's little channels that are leading to the water, all the different parts, and that's what they say. The 6 days of the week are like a garden that goes around like that, and Shabbat's in the middle, and Shabbat gives the source. So Shabbat is the makor habracha. It is the source of blessing. If you're successful on Monday, it's because of Shabbat. If you're successful on Thursday, it's because of Shabbat. Shabbat is where it comes from. Hashem blessed them. They to mean, bless it. It means he gave it the source of blessing. To bless us. That's one reason why it's there. Number two. Now, interesting. The first thing you see the word Baruch is not in relation to Shabbat. It's in relation to What did God bless in creation? There was one creature that God had to bless for a certain reason. Do you know what God blessed? Before he blessed? Fish. Very good. Excellent.
We're talking about water.
Fish. I didn't even think about that. Fish, absolutely. Why? Because we need lots of them.
Yeah, fish.
Lots and lots of fish. Right. Lots. Very good. Lots and lots of fish. So Hashem had to give them an extra blessing. They wouldn't get swallowed up by the bigger fish. Right? And they would have ribui. The word bracha says Rashi means ribui. Lots and lots of it. You want lots of good stuff in life. Lots of bracha. Lots of blessings. The word baruch means lots. The second time it appears in terms of Shabbat. That's one reason. There's a custom to eat fish in Shabbat. Fish is dalit, right? Dalit, gimel.
Spartan has it.
4 and 3, 7. You see Shabbat over there. You don't have to eat fish on Shabbat, but it is the source. There's a lot over there. There's a lot of it. Then all the Kabbalists say because people are reincarnated into fish, eat on Shabbat. I don't know. But that's what they say. However, I don't care about that. What I do care about is what Hashem told us. And he says, I have given you this day to give you all the blessing you want. You want it, you got to keep it. You can't go golfing. You can't go play tennis. And I love tennis, right? I'm very good at it. But you can't do that on Shabbat. Shabbat is about Shabbat. Now, I started by saying that Shabbat is more important than Yom Kippur. I don't mean that a little bit. I mean it lots. Lots and lots and lots. The only reason Yom Kippur is Yom Kippur is because Shabbat is Shabbat. Yom Kippur is called Shabbat Shabbaton, the Sabbath of Sabbaths.
Yeah.
That means Yom Kippur only becomes Yom Kippur because Shabbat is Shabbat. You know something amazing? I'm going to share something amazing with you. You're going to love this. Do you enjoy Yom Kippur? Be honest with me. Yes, fine. A little bit?
Yeah. Eating.
Starving, hungry. Or do you prefer hanging out with friends, eating a good meal, and singing? You prefer that, right? Because you're normal, yeah. Here's the secret over here. Shabbat has within it a little secret. And what's that? Shuv. What does shuv mean? To return. What do you do on Yom Kippur? Teshuvah. It returns you to your real self, to God. You know what? If you keep the 52 Shabbats during the year, eat and enjoy and come close to Hashem and spend time with family and learn and all the wonderful stuff that we do, you know what amazing happens? It takes you back faster and quicker than Yom Kippur. To such a degree that when you get to Yom Kippur, you don't even need that much. You go, you fast, you say, I'm sorry, Hashem, but you did Shabbat, the job's mostly done for you. Isn't that better? Who prefers 52 Shabbats rather than Yom Kippur? I'm not saying Yom Kippur is not important. I'm only kidding. It is very, very important. It's a very important day. But it does not equal Shabbat. Trust me, I'm a rabbi. As well as bracha, Shabbat is called something, and this is the first time you see this word mentioned in the Torah. The Vilna Gaon and others say the first time you see a word mentioned in the Torah is where it gets its life source from. And what is that word? A very important word that you've said hundreds of, if not thousands of times, and most of you don't even know what that word means. And the word is kadosh. Kadosh. Holy. But what does that mean, holy? How do you define this idea of holiness? Hashem made that day holy. The Kadesh, He made it holy. What is it holy? Holy, holy, holy. It sounds like a bad ABBA song. I don't know, right? What is holy? What does the word kadosh mean? The word kadosh is a very important word. We see it in the context of a number of other things. Listen very carefully. Shabbat is called kadosh. So too are the Jewish people. So too is God, called kadosh. So too is Israel, called kadosh. So too is Hebrew, called kadosh. What all these things have in common, they have the same title connected to them. You know what it is? Kadosh actually means, anybody know? Separate, distinct, apart, not the same. You see, God is the ultimate separate being. Israel is separate from all other lands. Every 4 steps to the land of Israel is a mitzvah. We'll talk about that in a few weeks. Hebrew is not like any other language. It's different. It's separate. You talk it, you're doing a mitzvah. Hebrew itself has within it spiritual sparks. The Jewish people are separate. Shabbat is separate from all the other days of the week. when you say a person is kadosh, they don't act like everyone else. They act nicely. They're respectful. They watch what they say. What is a holy person like? They're not the same.
Like you.
They're different, right? Wedding and marriage is called kadosh. Kiddushin. Why? Because this guy, it's a big news for you guys on marriage.
That's where Kiddush comes from?
That's
Like
where
separation?
Kiddush. Same thing. You make Kiddush on Shabbat to separate this day from all the other days. What happens at a wedding? He is now separate from all the other women there, and she is separate from all the other guys over there. I'm sorry to disappoint you about this information. I'm not shocked you with this information right now. Right? You're now separate from all the other people that are present there and then. That's what Kiddushin means. The word for marriage is Kiddushin. You've now sanctified yourself by being separate. Shabbat is kadosh. It is set. It's not like any other day of the week. It has within it the ability to become holy. There was a great rabbi called the Stipler, Rav Kanievsky. He died about 30 years ago or something. He was a great rabbi who came from a place called Stiple. He got the name Stipler. And he used to be given letters that were written to him all the time with questions. People just give him ask him advice. They'll come, letters, paper, with like a pen you used to write. The old days used to write stuff. So they would write him these letters, and he would answer them. And there's one letter, which I have a copy of, where a young boy wrote to the Stipler with a very, very not unexpected, but question. This is a religious boy from a religious home. He said to the Stipler the following. He said, I'm having trouble. I learn, I'm involved in Judaism, and I come from a wonderful family, and I go to yeshiva, and I study, I do well, but I'm having trouble believing in God. Is God really watching out for me? Does God really care about me? Is God there for me? Right? I'm in trouble with my emunah, my faith in God. Normal. Everyone has it. Young, old, we all have it every day.
I have the opposite. I believe in God, but I sometimes have a hard time believing in religion.
We're going to get to that. He had a problem believing in God, and actually the religion that comes from it, because religion for us Jews comes from our belief in God. And that was his trouble. And the Stipler, look at the Stipler wrote back. Imagine you were a great rabbi, someone asks you, what would you say? I'll tell you what I'd say. Take a break, look at the horizon, look at the beautiful world you're in, look at the wonderful Torah, learn, do chesed, do some kindness for other people. Lots of answers you give such a person. He gave the most unusual thing. The Stipler wrote back to him and said, keep Shabbat. But the boy kept Shabbat. He was a Sabbath of a Jew. He's like, no, really keep it. Like, don't read the stuff you're not going to read. Inspire yourself. Read about it, learn about it, keep the laws. Make it a really kadosh day. Separate. Food you eat, clothes you wear, songs you sing, people you hang out with, things you listen to. Obviously, keep Shabbat. This kid was. That's a given. But that's what he told him. And he said to him this amazing thing. He's one of the leading rabbis of his day. He said, without too long a time, you're going to notice that your whole relationship to God and Judaism and mitzvah is going to change. You're not going to be the same. Just keeping Shabbat is going to completely change your entire life. What a strange piece of... Kid was really keeping Shabbat, a religious family. He's like, do it better. Why? Why would this be? Hold your question 1 second. Why would this be? So here comes the tie-up. They'll take questions and maybe a little bit more. And it goes like this. The Zohar says, and elsewhere, that Shabbat is one of the names of God. When you enter Shabbat, you're entering into God's palace. We started by saying we have two holy places, holy time, holy space. The Mikdash in Jerusalem is the holiest place. Shabbat is the holiest time. Actually, they're one and the same. All the laws of Shabbat are learned out from the Beit HaMikdash, from the Mishkan, and then the Beit HaMikdash.
But the Beit HaMikdash came after.
It did come after.
So
it's learned out from the Mishkan, and then the pieces inside, most of them were placed into the Beit HaMikdash. But the Mishkan, the portable tabernacle we took with us, all the laws are learned out from that. The two are related. Actually, they are completely intrinsically
But
related.
you don't have better, sorry that I stop, you don't have better Midrash today.
Says King Solomon, when he built the first ever temple in Jerusalem, he said, you know what? He knew prophetically somehow that the temple would not always exist. And he said, Mashaya lo yeh. That which was will not be, aval yeh, but it will be. And the commentator is like, what's he talking about, King Solomon, the wisest of all people? That which was won't be, but then it will be. And they say, you know what? The temple will not always be there for the Jewish people. He knew eventually, he knew while he was building it, while he was building it, he knew it was going to be destroyed. Just like a person knows when they have a child, one day that child, we all die. And yet we still celebrate. He could still celebrate and knew eventually it will be destroyed. You know what he said? Something amazing. He said, Shabbat will take its place. Now listen to this. This is going to blow your mind. Let's go through all the parts in the Mishkan, in the tabernacle, and eventually the Beit Midrash. There was a menorah, remember that? Mm-hmm. There was an altar, mizbeach, they put the meat on. And they used to pour wine onto that mizbeach. And they used to put salt on the mizbeach and on the meat. And there was a special mizbeach of gold, of zahav. They put incense on it. And then there was a Holy of Holies. And inside there was an ark. And inside that ark there was a golden box. And inside that box was a wooden box. Inside that wooden box was another golden box. And inside that golden box was the first ever luchot, the tablets, that was given to Moses in the first ever Torah. And there was a table, the shulchan. And on the table there were breads. Lechem hapanim. Small table. There were breads, little breads, 6 and 6.
No, I'm saying how big was the Mishkan?
Mishkan, side of a football field or something like that. That's it. Not that big. And yet everything was there. Listen carefully. The temple is gone. What do we have now? Oh, I see. We have meat in our homes on Shabbat. We don't have the menorah. We have the Shabbat candles. We have wine. We put in our Kiddush cup. We have the salt, which we put on the table, and the bread from the Mishkan we put on the table as well. And the beautiful smells that come from the Shabbat home. That's the incense. Everything in the Mishkan was transposed onto the Shabbat table. The two mirror each other. When you go to Yerushalayim and you feel all spiritual at the Kotel and oh, it's so good and I'm standing by a broken wall and everyone feels so good and see and dancing. You know what? There's a better place you can go to.
Disco.
Shabbat! Shabbat is where it's happening. Shabbat is the copy. Everything you find in the temple, the holy temple, that was destroyed. King Solomon says, don't worry. It's going to be again. Everything inside there is going to be reproduced. Your Shabbat table is the Mikdash Na'at. It's not the synagogue. That's not what we replace the Beit HaMikdash with. The Beit HaMikdash is in the Jewish home on the holiest day, which is Shabbat. It is the Makor HaBracha and is the source of all holiness. Yes?
No question. Why is it Shabbat before Pesach?
Shabbat HaGadol it's referred to. That is because God did a miracle on the Shabbat before the Jewish people left Egypt, where we had to take a Korban Pesach and we were able to put it into our homes, and the Egyptians saw this animal which they worshipped and they weren't able to attack us. So we were protected. You know, I'm pleased you said that actually, because it reminds me of one last thing I have to mention to you. Check this amazing idea. This is Rabbi Yonason Eibishit says this. Listen to this beautiful idea. He says that the Jewish people broke Shabbat in the desert. What happened was one of the Jews did it and he got in trouble for it and he lost his life. Do you know what's amazing about this? Yeah, Chayv Mitah, it's a very important thing, Shabbat. You don't mess with it. He lost his life for doing this. You know what happened right afterwards? Killed. Right afterwards, listen. Right afterwards, Amalek came to attack us. A certain nation called Amalek. Haman was an Amalekite. Hitler was probably Amalekite, they say. You know, they're the nation that really, really hates us.
M-A-L-I-K?
Amalek. A-M-A-L-E-K. Amalek.
It's not Martin Luther King.
Can there be Jews there?
No! No. No,
So
Jews
they're
go.
finding
Jews go. No. Amalek is a very, very particular nation that despises the Jewish people for no logical reason. Here for the class? Yeah, you're very late. That's okay, take a seat. Thanks. He says like this. He says, you know what? The fact that you see the Jewish people breaking Shabbat, and then right afterwards, Amalek came to attack us, and were a little bit effective at attacking us, means there's a connection. And what's that? The Jewish people have a Haganah, a protection. Now we have an army, which is good. We've always had armies when we've needed them, but there's a much better protection, and that is Shabbat. Shabbat is Shomer Yisrael. It protects us. Not just spiritually, which it does as well, by the way. If you want to keep your family observant, Shabbat's going to do it for you. I'm just telling you, for all the reasons we mentioned so far. Bracha, Kedusha, the Beit HaMikdash, all the other stuff. But I want to share something even crazier with you. Shabbat protects us physically from all other nations. And you know what the Talmud calls this? A matana tova, a great gift that was given to the Jewish people and to no other nation. That's why only the Jews have Shabbat. Because we need protection, because they want to kill us. We're like lambs, sheep among the wolves. Hashem said, I'm going to give you something that's going to protect you spiritually, emotionally, psychologically, and physically. Shabbat protects the Jewish people. Finally, I said I was to tell you today. I did tell you that. Finally, Shabbat, I will finish with this, I promise. Shabbat is referred to as an oat. An oat is a sign. A sign. Now, there are a few mitzvot that are referred to the Torah as an oat, as an oat, a sign. What do signs do for us? They give us direction. That's what the Torah itself calls Shabbat an oat. And they give us direction. They show us where not to go. They tell us where we should definitely go.
Guidance.
They guide us. But they do something else. Imagine you have a store in Brooklyn, which you probably do, called Ellie's Bagels. Now, there's two things you know about Ellie's Bagels. One, some Israeli dude turned up and opened a store. And two, the store sells bagels. Let's say you turn to Ellie's Bagels on a regular basis for your regular bagel. By the way, why do Jews eat bagels? Because we're a holy people. Now,
And what they eat lacks. Because it's very artificial. Yeah?
so what happens? You go to Ellie's Bagels and you turn up and the doors are locked, the lights are off, and all the chairs are on the table. What do you know about Ellie's Bagels?
It's closed.
It's closed. Happens. You come back a week later and the same sight greets you. The chairs are on the tables, the lights are off, the doors are locked, but the sign is taken down. Now what do you know?
It's out of business.
Out of business. The Jewish people have a sign. If the Jewish people are a company, which to some degree we are, there is a sign outside our store that says Shabbat. Now there are many mitzvot that we're not able to do anymore, like the temple and all the other mitzvot in Israel. The doors are closed, but the store is still open. But if Shabbat, if our sign is taken down, we're out of business. That's what the Chavetz Chaim says. And we, the Jewish people, we were promised that we would always be there, which means there must always be a Shabbat among our people. That is the most important thing that identifies us as a Jew. It is the oat. It is the shop sign that sits outside the store. Without it, we're done. There must be people among us, ideally everyone, that keeps Shabbat. To such a degree that they say just one Shabbos and we'll all be, Darcy knows it, but you don't know, free. That's one of the songs, what was that? MBD, one of the rabbis sings that song, yeah? Why do they say that? Because Shabbat is the entry into the next world. A gate was created to get us into Olam Haba, and Shabbat is that gate.
Is this something on Mashiach as well?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what it's referring to, coming Mashiach. You want to bring Mashiach early, we'll speak about that later on in the course. Shabbat is one of the best ways to bring Mashiach as well, because it's Me'en Olam Haba, it's part of the next world. Yes?
Who says how we supposed to keep Shabbat? Like, I understand the whole mimicking of the temple, that's interesting, but I mean, today, since the base of English was destroyed, how do we know that we're actually
Great.
doing...
Very, very good. So the key word to know how to keep Shabbat is malacha, which interestingly enough is what was needed to create the Mishkan. 39 times in the Torah, the word malacha appears. And we know that the Mishkan needed malacha in order to create it. Malachat machshevet, creative and well thought out work. Now it comes along Shabbat and it says, Lo tasu malacha. Don't do malacha. What's malacha? I'll find that word elsewhere. You know where it appears? Malacha, not avodah. Malacha and avodah are two completely different things. Malacha is creative work. Avodah is physical work, like on Pesach. Avadim hayinu be'eretz Mitzrayim. In Egypt, we were doing avodah. What is avodah? We weren't bankers and doctors and lawyers. We were brick schleppers. That's avodah. Avadim is physical work. Malacha is creative work. How do I know? Because that's what's involved in making the Mishkan. There were 39 activities that were involved in making the Mishkan. How do I know what I cannot do on Shabbat? It says don't do malacha. I find malacha. It tells me 39 things I cannot do. The 39 things that we use to create the Mishkan. So if I go there, that's how you learn the laws of Shabbat.
There's nothing like keeping something more strict, and like so some people say you can't I don't know, do all these things, and it just becomes more.
Just like American law, with our stringencies and cases and exceptions,
it
I
becomes
hear.
rest. It becomes more of almost a job.
Very good. The rest doesn't mean you're sitting back doing nothing. The rest means you're at a state of tranquility. You don't work, you're involved, you don't do any malacha, you now just be, you exist.
I can understand the part of like resting, like everything needs rest, even like, computers and obviously those are electronic, but just like
they can just keep going forever.
They need to rest themselves. They are
very good. Part of it is a physical rest. There's another kind of rest you need. It is just rest your mind. You need to just stop the constant barrage of work, because you're no longer a god and you're no longer a slave. So just to stop and just to be at rest, be present in the moment. Yes.
Why does it say that on Shabbat people get a second neshama?
Yeah, neshama yetera. That is a gift that was given to the Jewish people. That actually gives us the ability to eat more. That's what it does. It's not for now. You do gain weight, Moshe Shabbat. Yes.
Is there an element of Eastern philosophy in this type of going through the motions and finding peace, tranquility?
It could be Eastern philosophies for us, the Jews. That's why the people of the East have always been pretty good to us. We haven't had to deal too much. The West has been a problem for us. East have been pretty accepting over it. Happens to be a lot of similarity between us. And one of the reasons was when Abraham sent off his students, he sent to the East with various forms of kishuf, witchcraft they say, and various chokhmah and wisdoms. This probably was among it. Actually, it definitely was. So it still comes back to the Jewish people.
I just go back from Limon, and I decided to leave my cell phone, because I'm gonna meet people. I decided to leave my cell phone in the room. So I don't really keep fully Shabbat, but one thing depends. You just put your cell phone away, you will pay attention to people you talk to. So just this small thing, just you're not using this machine with you all the time, you actually will talk with people.
Just to put your cell phone down, Dayenu. Okay, we're going to stop over there. We'll pick this up. 5 minute break? 7 minute break. Okay, fine. Good job, everyone.